Aditya, I'm actually under pressure, right? Because you mentioned that I have to do a stand-up comedy also, right? So I'll start with that, right? I noticed something which is very common in Bangalore, right? Every statement ends with a word no, right? Did you had a coffee? No. Do you want to have coffee? No, right? I don't know whether should I respond to it with a yes or what, right? Because it would be oxymoron statement, right? So let's start with why I wanted to do this topic. Right? We all have heard about AI, what AI can do, what are the risks of AI, right? And how do we implement AI, right? We all know about LLM architecture. We all must have used in our life, in last 1.5 year, some way the OpenAI APIs to do some kind of computation on our data, right? The thing is, how old is AI, right? And how do we actually make an AI, right? That should be the first question, right? If you actually are, if let's say everybody is scared about the AI and the risks of AI and the data privacy, let's think like how AI is made, right? And how AI is old, right? So when I started doing research around different cultures, I found that AI is not AI is not like 40 years old or 50 years old. It is probably like around 1,000-year old, right? Every script, every text, every culture has a mention of AI in it, right? In some or the other form, right? But what are the biggest challenges that we see today, right? Which is the scale, the memory, usability, and last is the people component. We'll touch upon that at the end, right? But, and why I have written one on all, right? Because all of those are the equal priority problems right now, right? You cannot solve just scalability, you cannot solve just usability, right? You cannot just solve the memory issues, right? You have to solve each and every component at the same time. Now let's look at, uh, I hope everybody is from a scientific background or some or other way of the science background and must know about Niels Bohr. And if you don't know, no worries about it. He was a very boring person, right? So, but he said one thing which was very good, right? Which is he was superstitious, right? We all are, right? We wear our socks in certain way. If you have interview, you will wear your favorite tie, or you'll start with certain specific word, right? And he said that luck is something which nobody can understand, but it might do something good for you, right? That is why people usually believe in the luck. Now, it is derived from a principle from a Greek philosophy. They started something that is called as uh, Tobas. Tobas was the first kind of robot that Greek philosophy mentioned, which has a single neural system, right? What it means is, if you are looking to scale your infrastructure, you need a system which can scale linearly, right? You cannot build a system right now which is exponentially scalable. The issue is you don't have RAM, we don't have GPUs, we don't have compute power, right? Then how do we do that? Something that Greeks has already, or the Chinese has already, the Mayan calendar says the parallelization technique, which is star mapping. If you look at two stars at the night time, you'll find all the stars are usually parallel to each other in the representation map, right? Same way we do the parallelization of LLM architecture nowadays also, right? You don't know whether OpenAI is going to work or Llama is going to work or Hugging Face is going to work. What do? You put all three of them together and try to find which one is giving you a better result, right? And do you think like this is something which we thought of yesterday? No, it was already mentioned in those texts that this is how you derive the uses of AI, right? Tobas was the first robot, right? What it used to do it had three components to it. One, it can scale in any direction, right? Same way we are developing a new material which has diffusion capacities, which means that it can disintegrate and integrate at the same time, which means a system, a chip, which can run up to 500 years without having any energy. Now the concept, is it possible? The answer is yes. Uh, Last week, Stanford published a paper which is new kind of chip. It's called 6561, which is basically again taken from the inspiration of the Mayan calendar 6561. It says that it can run on infinite energy source because it can disintegrate and integrate in itself. Again derived from a concept that we call whisper models in our LLM architectures, right? If you know whisper models, whisper model right now we are using it for a very specific purpose, right? We'll give some form of data and we'll get the quick insights, right? But what if your models can talk to each other, right? Your regression can talk to classification, classification can talk to predictions, and predictions can talk to, again, classification, right? Do you think how much time it will take, right? But what if you make a whisper models of it, right? Your system already knows, like, when you input the data, whether it has to predict or it has to classify, right? Can it do that? Yes, it can do that. We use it in our Indian system. We call it astrology, right? Show our hands and they'll tell whether you are going to become a CEO of the company or not, right? Most probably they'll say yes, but don't believe in them, right? Second is usability, right? Coming from a technology background, I never thought about user experience, right? And Shiva is sitting here. He is one of the co-founders in our company, and I owe it to him that he explained me something which was very, very, very important for each and every technologist to understand the usability, right? I worked with the OpenAI team, right, when they were devising the LLM, right? We didn't understood how people will use the LLM, right? Prompt was not the answer back then. We thought we'll have a model, somebody will put the data and they'll get the insight, right? ChatGPT became ChatGPT because everyone can go in and type it something and then it will give the result, right? This is something which is very important for any and every company who is devising any form of artificial intelligence. How it will be used, right? If you have been to various Indian temples or even Indian churches, Indian mosques, you'll find something which is common in across every religion, right? Not the main structure, but the things close to those structure. They'll have similar kind of shops. They sell the similar thing, right? Yeah, the essence of those things might be different, right? Churches might sell candle, the mosque might sell the scents, and the Indian things can sell the flower, right? But they all sell the same thing, right? But if you'll date it back to the Indian scripts which has been written, it is clearly mentioned that you don't create a single system, you create an ecosystem. Artificial intelligence is like that. You need to create an ecosystem, right? Then only you can do something which is worthwhile, right? Now let's come to the last piece of the puzzle, right? Last week I started reading Rig Veda, right? Rig Veda is basically for the musicians, right? Rig is a word which is mentioned there, which basically talks about how different Vedas come together and form a unity, right? We all have heard the word unity in the AI circuit, right? We all want to create a unity. But it is not possible. And the reason is the three of the other stuff, right? Scale, memory, and usability never correlate or overlap with each other, right? And how can we do that? That is on us, right? Because we never understand the other three. We are always busy on our POC and how to take it to the production. We don't understand how it works in the people ecosystem, right? So when I talk about the ecosystem, you can relate to, you can read any text that is available, like I'll call it like 1,000 years ago. Each and every text mentioned about any ecosystem needs to be worked on. It needs people to interfere in it, right? Which was one of the point in the Aditya slide also, right? AI cannot run on itself, right? It needs people inferences, right? And that's where the power of people comes in. If you have seen the Egyptian pyramids, right? Think of the structure of those pyramids, right? Now think of the structure of your company. Why it looks same, right? There is one CEO, 10 executive, 20 employees, and then 30 more employees, right? It's a pyramid, right? Why? Because that is the most stable structure that is there in the ancient history, right? That has tested the time, right? Same thing happens with how we create our own system, right? I will end this presentation with something which I thought that we were the future, we are the future, and we will be the future. If we just focus wee bit on ourselves, right? I think we'll be good. The only thing is we need to understand we first, and then we can figure out the other aspects of the LLM. Thank you so much. That's about my time.